Okay, so again, to record it, you're probably not gonna need Flux unless you're writing a lot of components. So if we go into the Flux folder right here, okay. So right now, this is just a counter and it doesn't work. Oh, it works. Wait, what do I do?
You did the right thing.
Oh yeah, this is the regular. So regular way, how it works is we have a state with a number, and whenever we click that, we change that state, right? Wait, I don't have the. It's weird. It's not supposed to work, but it works anyway. It's weird things happening there. And by the way, I figured out what our Webpack stuff, why it's not working. I mean, so let me just jump back real quick. So if you can fetch out your Webpack stuff, all you need is a Babel config file. That's like this. You know, it's super weird. In the other project, I didn't have a config file, but for some reason, Webpack just smells a config file from some other projects. But when I switched to this project, I mean, I don't know, somehow it just doesn't get registered. So if you just put like a .babel rc and put this in there, then it's gonna work. So I'm just gonna put this in Slack. So you need a file title like this, and it needs to have. Yeah, it's very silly. I mean, it's very weird. Anyway, go back to Flux. So this is a regular counter. Now I'm gonna put Flux into it. So what is Flux? Flux is two parts. There's an action and there's a store. So whenever you click on something, you trigger an action, and an action will tell the store to change its state. So the store keeps your states naturally. So here I have a couple files I want to introduce to you. So this is and by the way, we use ALT, we use alt as our Flux library. As you probably may have heard, Flux has many implementations. Facebook, they open source Flux. It's very very plain. It's not easy to use. So there comes, if you keeping track, there's a Fluxer, alt, reflux. There's a lot of them. It's like a 10. And like 1 year ago, you can see a lot of articles, ranking the usefulness of all the Flux libraries. So, and among them, the one of the best is alt. So we choose to use alt. So if you want to follow along, and you can go to your Webpack project, what you do is just do npm I and alt. That will install your alt in your package.json. Then you can use it. So in here I make a file. I just establish an alt instance so I can import it in my action. So this is action. So I import alt from the instance, and I have an action. It's defined this way: class alt actions, and I have all these methods, and I have a store. Okay. So store would import actions, and I import alt from the instance, and I define a store. This is all boilerplate. I mean, you're not supposed to memorize this. You remember this, just need to know how it works. Okay. So inside the store, there's a constructor. That's how you initialize your state inside the store. And there's a bind listener. That's how you bind your action, your Flux action, to your store methods. And this is your store methods. Okay. So, and back to my component. So now, okay, now I'm ready to turn this into a Flux app. Okay. So first of all, when I click add, what am I gonna do? So I'm just gonna click. This the props, the increment. And a minus, I'm just gonna do decrement, okay, like that. And here, excuse me? Okay. Okay, so I'll have an increment here, decrement. So it'll be the same. Define the methods. There's nothing new. Okay. Here now I'm just gonna take away this. This the props. The number. Okay. Okay, so I will have a number here. This stays something, the number. Okay. So just bear with me, and this is some boilerplate I'm gonna copy from a solution. This is just this is what you would need. Okay, so boilerplate stuff. I'm gonna explain out this.
Did you define the state of the number in the alt store?
Yeah, so I'm gonna go there in the alt store. So first of all, what I just copied. So I just copied I define my state from the store. So I get my state from my store, and then I stuck it into my state here. And I'm listening to the store. So whenever there's a store that's change, I want to call this the unchanged function. And this the unchanged is just setting my state. So whenever the state in my store is updated, I want to update my the state in my component. So that's what I'm doing here. Okay. So we just okay. This is, let me just clean up a little bit. And let me go to my store. Okay. So store here, I'm gonna construct this is the number. So I have a counter. So initially it's 0. Then I want to bind the my methods to my action. So I'll just actually copy that. But this is a boilerplate, so don't be too stressed to memorize this, because you're not supposed to memorize this. So this is just binding your store methods to your actions. Okay. Okay. So whenever I'm calling an action to increase my counter, I'm just gonna do list number is equal to list number is +1. Okay. And then I'm going to emit change to tell my component that something has changed. Okay. And I'm going to my action. So I have an action increment, decrement here. So when this is called from my component, so the component calls the action. The action dispatches a signal to the store, and the store will call the method that's bound to the action, and the method will do whatever that it needs to change the state, and then it needs a change to tell the component. So it's a full circle. So let me just go through it again. The component will call the action. So component will call this action if I'm going to increase the counter by 1. Then this action will dispatch to the store to let the store know that something, the number is being increased by 1.
So why is there a middleman here?
Which one is the middleman?
Why do you have to have an intermediate thing called action, which in turn calls calls your store to get the state?
Because you not only just talking to the store. Also, if you see my comment out here, you can also talk to your backend.
Oh, okay. So you can directly talk to your store.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
what is the advantage of doing the action, making the action call the store?
So you think about, you have 2 stores. One is your store. One is your database.
Yeah.
So action is just this just emits a signal to your store and also talk to the endpoints in your database to change the stuff. So you don't want to do that in the store, because the store is just some the state.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Initially you're just gonna see why you do this extra step, that extra step, but remember we talk about imperative and declarative way of programming. I mean, the whole thing about declarative way is just we want to be very verbose about in our program. We want to write a lot of lines so that we don't have to worry about stuff changing in time. We make a program that's evolving in time, and we turn that into a program involving in text space. So we write a lot of program to handle whatever that's evolving in time. It's kind of abstract, but that's why it's sometimes you'll see that we're doing extra steps. But this is a counter. It's very simple, so you'll feel that it's just not worth it. Yeah, but later on when you have a super complex stuff, you'll see the value of this. Okay, so this is how it works. So the component calls the action dispatch to your store, and at the same time, if you have a backend, also talk to the backend to tell them we are increasing the counter by 1, and the store will invoke the method that's bound to that action and change the state, and then tell the component that, okay, my state changes. Okay, so that's that. Then I'm just gonna set up this. So state dot number. So since my state is number, I would have I want the number here. Number. Okay. Our store is not defined because I commented this out. Okay. So the plus works, minus doesn't work. Okay. So to make minus work, I'm just gonna I attached everything, so I'm just gonna go through the action. So again, when I click plus here, I'm invoking this method, and this method invokes the action increment. So it's right here. This gets invoked, and then calls this dispatch. So okay, it's just telling the store there's action coming in, and the action would go to this bind listener and see, okay, which action is coming in, and it finds that, okay, this action increment. So
what is that?
Where do you
caps uppercase over there?
Oh, it's just their way of keeping track. So instead of, they're not gonna, just a bookkeeping.
So that's called increment because the action that was on the other part was called increment?
Yeah.
So it's just all caps of the action that was.
Yeah, all caps. And this is just particular to this library. Okay. Every library there's a slightly different implementation. So one caveat is this all increment has to be all lowercase, and then this will be just all capital case. So that's how you bind it. So once you see that this method is bound to the action, then invokes this action, and then we change the number by 1, and we emit change. Once we emit change, since we are listening here, we're listening to the store in my component amount, we know there's something changed, so we invoke this callback, and this callback sets our state to the new number. It's a full circle. It's a way overkill for this counter, but it's how Flux works. Okay?
Okay.
Questions?
So
No?
all your states are basically handled in the store.
Right, all states is stored is in the store.
Action is like a delegate that like connects to the store to fetch that data and give it back to your component.
Right. So I'm gonna do this again for the decreasing, action. All right. So I have here the increment is calling this. Okay, it's right here. It's nothing needs to change because I don't have a backend yet. So I'm going to the store. It's already bound here because I copied it. Okay. So this is the same thing, but instead of plus, I have minus. Okay. This is now super fancy. Okay.
So
No.
mid change is a function of like the stores. It's like we don't have to declare that, right? That's just kind of like on change or something like that. Or tell change.
Which method?
This not a mid change.
Yeah, you don't. This is internal.
From the library?
Yeah, this is in the library. Okay.
So what library is this? Alt store library or something?
Yeah, this is. Oh, let me just. So. So this is alt. Well, we can study into it, but we're not gonna dwell on this too much. We will transition into Redux quickly. We're not gonna use this.
So Flux is more of a concept than
Yeah, it is. It is a concept.
It's not a library or it's not a.
Well, Facebook made a library called Flux. It's not. Yeah, it's not. Not. It's not very easy to use. So they improve it. So they.
But this is not by Facebook, right?
It's not by Facebook, right? But Facebook's Flux is not that easy to use. Yeah, this one's
very bare bones.
very bare bones. Yeah, you have to write a lot more boilerplate.
So does Redux take place of Flux?
Yeah, so Redux would take place of Flux.
Really?
Yeah, so they are the same. They are cousins, but they do the same thing. But still, the concept is the same. If you don't need,
Which one do you like better, Redux or Flux?
always Redux. Yeah. Like the community doesn't really use Flux, right?
Yeah, I don't think anybody uses Flux.
Yeah, that's in this. So
Redux is full speed ahead.
so
Until something else comes up in 2 months.
Of course. That's crazy.
so here in my
No more. Stay.
Super script.
Please.
No,
So we catch up.
I don't want. It's JavaScript. I don't want. No.
so let me just so I want to turn this into a Flux app. Okay.
I'm not touching it.
I give you a lot of credit for doing it for us.
All right, so I'm just gonna show you once. All right, don't blink.
Is he recording?
Are we supposed to do
Yes.
slow mode and then we'll all do it slow?
That's why he's recording.
So I have a Flux folder here. I have the action instance, the store. Okay. So let me just introduce my store. Okay. I have a to do. Initially, it's an empty array. I have a loading. It's true. And I bound my listeners. I have a handle loading to do. So initially, I'm gonna load to do from my fake backend, and I bound it to handle add to do. Okay. So then my actions add to do. I'm gonna give it my new to do, and then dispatch this new to do to the store to add. And load to do, I'm gonna have some to dos coming from my backend, so I'm gonna dispatch that to the store. So that's that. And my app, okay. So initially my state, I get my to dos from my store, but I still stay my new to do, store my new to do in my local state. So this is a new concept now. You want to think about what state to keep in your store and what to keep locally. Well, because this new to do is what I type, and when I type it, I just set it up to the store. So I don't really need to keep this new to do in the store. I could. If I do that, then I have to write an action for it. I need to write a store action method for it. If I don't need to, then I don't want to do that. So you have to think about what states to keep where. Okay. So when component mounts, I call this fetch to do. When the to do comes back from my backend, I call this action load to dos. Okay. So, and then I'm listening to the change here, just like the boilerplate that we have for the counter. And this on mount, I just unlisten. And on change, I set state. So the to dos, I just set it to my latest, state coming from the store. Okay, and all the others it's the same, but this handle safe. So I'm calling add to do here. So now quickly, so when I'm loading this from the backend, when the backend comes back, I call action. Let's trace that action. So again, when a to-do comes in from the backend, I call this action. I give it my to-dos. It dispatches to my store, and it's bound to this loading to-dos methods right here with the to-dos that's coming from the backend. So I just put it in my to-dos. Remember, initially my to-dos is an empty array. Right now it's a real array with to-dos, okay? And it's loading, I'll change it to false, and I just emit change. Once the image change, since I'm listening, so it would call this onChange and then set a state to my the new to-dos, okay? And when I add to-dos here, I'm calling this action handle safe, right? So I'm calling add to do action in my out action. And this just, take this new to do, dispatch it to the store, and it's bound to, handle add to do methods. It's right here. So then this dot to do's will be the new, spread this, the old ones here, and put the new to do here. Then I emit change.
A lot of jumps.
Yeah, full circle. Okay.
So when you emit change, that's changing the actual data, and the data is constantly being piped in.
So I emit change. I'm just telling my components that my state changes. The state in the store changes. You should grab the new one.
And what does component will unmount do?
So this is just if for some reason you take away this component. For example, if you go to another page, or something happened that you don't need this component, then we just unlisten, so we don't keep losing memory. We don't keep the memory here. Just some bookkeeping stuff. Okay. So now you wanna try?
No.
So you wanna see me try it? How to do delete? Okay.
Sure. As long as it's you and not me.
All right. So now this is still set state. So this is all stuff. I wanna comment this out, and then I wanna do the new stuff. Okay.
So you would actually change what you've done before.
Right, because
You wouldn't leave it. You wouldn't leave whatever you had before. Just rework it a little bit. You're actually changing the entire.
because this is a set in state. Because before I have a state in my component, I'm changing that state.
Is it just the state that you're changing?
Yeah,
You're
because
not changing anything else. So the
No.
component doesn't have state anymore.
Yeah, a component doesn't have state anymore. Or yeah,
So you have to do an action in the
yeah. So
to do.
I'm gonna create an action, right? So
Delete to do.
say delete to do, and then give it the index. Okay. And so I come here. I'm gonna add a delete to do. I have an index. So I'm gonna dispatch. Okay. So here I need to bind it, right? So if I'm gonna make a handle delete to do index, then I'm gonna bind it here first so I don't forget. Delete to do the actions the delete to do. Okay. Now what I do?
Delete.
Map array,
Map.
go to the array.
Yeah. So this is the what? Be like that. So if I have 2i. So if I is equal to index.
Is it E? Yeah, change the.
Oh yeah, no. So nobody's helping me out here. So it should be this.
What's the E? The event handler?
E is just the element, so it should be to do. Yeah, so it should be to do. So when you're filtering, the first thing is the element, the second is the index.
Cool.
So if
Then you have to do a bit the change.
yeah, I made that change. That it made. Do you think it's gonna work?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, works.
Cool.
Yeah, it's cool.
So yeah, I can see why it's useful when you have a lot of components doing a lot of special things.
Yeah, cause now right now I'm doing like this stuff props that handle strike through that kind of thing. With this, you don't need to propagate stuff upward. You can emit an action in your grandchildren component, right? So right now our grandchildren has to pass the function up here and up here and up here, and then use this to call the method handle the state. Now we can use our grandchildren to emit action directly to the store. So there's no more
Okay, now I see it.
passing this stuff up. Anything you want to see converted to Flux?
How,
So, pros and cons of using this?
As I said, if you are not frustrated with managing your component states and props, you should not be using this.
If you're not frustrated, don't use it.
Yeah, there's actually a long.
so I would use it and then get more frustrated because I was frustrated.
Yeah. How different is Redux? Or is that the next lesson?
Yeah, that's next.
Is it a similar concept?
It's similar, yeah, but it's just better architecture. So let me just read this, okay? Flux is architecture, it's not a framework. So do not start building stuff with Flux when you are first getting started with React. It can be difficult to understand why the patterns in Flux are useful if you haven't already tried to solve problems without Flux. You'll most likely hate Flux unless you're already fighting with your current JS framework. If you are not, stick with what's working for you. So Flux is good at making it easy to reason about changes to the state. So it answers 2 questions. What states is there and how does it change? When does it change? Okay? So it's blah, 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 just the same concept. So as you build more and more components and more and more complex stuff, you'll find that you'll need, you'll need Flux more and more.
Woohoo!
Okay.
Yeah,
Um,
really, but yeah.
cool.
Flux.
Let me see if I have anything else. Oh yeah. So one more thing. So yeah, make sure when you go home to add this Babel config to your Webpack so it builds, and try to put in a CSS modules by yourself. What you do is you just npm install. Let me just do it here. So my other folder, I don't have that.
This is the one we built. You want us to do this in the one we built from scratch?
Yep.
Gotcha.
So here I don't have CSS loader, right? So what you do is you npm install CSS loader --save.
CSS loader down?
CSS modules.
Is it the CSS module?
Yeah, CSS module. And also to use CSS module, you also need a style loader. So you need to npm install a style loader and a CSS loader. And in your Webpack config, you're gonna plug it in by in your loaders array. You just put in another this, but instead of JS, you want it to pipe through CSS files, and you don't need any more exclude no modules. And this is styles. So if you put styles, this is style loader. And if you want to pipe it through two loaders, it will be CSS. So I'm piping my CSS files through style loader and CSS loader. Okay. Oh, misspell.
Site loaders.
We're OCD.
But then if I want to turn on CS modules, remember to put question mark modules here.
Right.
So
And
now
that should be test or that should be dev?
that's test. That's just how you plug in loaders.
What does test mean?
Just to test the file extension. If it's JS, then pipe through Babel.
Oh.
If it's CSS, then pipe through style and CSS. So now I can use my CSS loaders, create styles and all that good stuff. And also, there are a couple more loaders you should know. For example, if you want to import like an image file loader. So if I use a file loader, I can import like JPEG image, and also there's a URL loader. URL loader. This is pretty cool.
So if you don't have these loaders, you can't use images in React?
Right.
Oh.
No. Then you will have to only use like image in CDN. If you have a local image, if I want to do, if I wanted to do something like image and source something like this, then if I have a file loader set up, I can import my selfie from my selfie.jpg, and I can just put it here. Then my selfie is gonna show up.
Wow.
But if you don't have that set up, you can import a JPEG. So, and what's amazing about Webpack is you can import, an image, CSS, JavaScript, and put it all in your code. But you just
It's amazing until they come out with the next version, and everything breaks.
that's true. So here, if you want to do that, put the file loader, a URL loader, URL loader is the same as file loader. It's just that they have a limit. So if you put this limit in there, the file size that's less than that limit, you can load it through like a URL. If it's larger than that, you can load it through with file loader. So that's just some good stuff. And also linting. You can put your linters here. So for React and Webpack, we mostly use ESLint.
I write very creatively, guys. Linting is really hard for me.
I just got
But
that.
seriously? Why is it like the order of CSS styles? I'm like,
Clear, don't change. Okay?
Yeah, I know, it's very hard.
I'm
I
just
mean,
never gonna lint.
What is linting?
okay, so linting is a tool that checks your JavaScript. If you have a large team, you want to enforce your JavaScript style, you can set up lint rules so that if your teammate doesn't follow that rule, it will pop up as an error and you cannot build, does not build. So your teammate will be very frustrated and he will learn to write with your style next time.
It's like a virtual teacher.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's in the back of your head.
yeah.
It's a JavaScript mod block.
Wow.
So yeah, so if you're working on a large project with a large team, I would encourage you strongly to set up. Because think about this fat arrow convention with the fat arrow, without fat arrow, and also the naming convention. You can enforce that people do a certain name. For example, if you do handle on click, people can say on click or say after click or something like that. It's gonna be all over the place. But you can enforce only people use handle something. If they don't use handle, it's not gonna build.
They have other linters though. ES is the best one.
Yeah, ESLint is a React plugin, so you can set it up so that it handles all the React related rules.
Alright.
Okay. Yeah. Any questions on Flux? Otherwise, this is the last time you're gonna see about Flux because we're gonna move to Redux next time.
Oh.
It's fine.
And also, just remind you guys, final project ideas are due next week.
A week from today.
2 weeks from today.
2 weeks from today,
2 weeks. 1 week?
March 3rd, right?
Okay, 1 week from today. Yes.
Two?
That was due.
No,
March.
you have to comment the idea.
Idea is due.
Oh, ideas.
Oh,
And
I
now-
already have an idea. How do I post my idea?
You can-
What's the
you-
process?
You can email me or you can Slack me.
Okay.
You can
Yeah.
tell everybody.
You can tell
Yeah,
everybody.
you could just say it out loud. You
I have a,
Let's just see.
so I have this like form, basically this, but the application is just a glorified form, but there's
Oh
a
my
lot
god, you
of
stole my
hiding.
idea. Continue.
I didn't show, alright, forget it, I'll explain it to you. Who cares?
No,
I'm
we do.
Yeah.
I'm just messing with you. You can continue.
It's a form?
I don't want it anymore. No.
Nah.
It's hiding and showing divs and like there's different components that are generated and it's all with jQuery and it's a big giant mess. One, because I'm not good at writing JavaScript, and two, because it's jQuery and it's all, in that nature.
Oh, so
Okay.
you're reworking something.
So I'd like to take that form and it's
Mhm.
styled really nicely and style it the same way with the CSS module and make all that functionality happen.
Oh,
So.
sounds good. Okay.
Ooh.
So what functionality are there?
So it's like hiding, it's like adding distro lists, like adding
Oh, okay.
certain elements into it, depending on like the type of hiring
Oh,
it
okay.
is. So if
Okay.
there's like a remote reviewer or a contractor,
Yeah.
certain things
Okay.
disappear or render,
Okay.
and then certain things auto-populate and stuff like that.
Okay.
So
Yeah. So I think that there's something called Redux.
How do you use Flux?
There's something called Redux Form. That's gonna be super good for you.
Redux form?
Yeah, Redux Form. We'll get there.
Do I need a Redux form?
You definitely need it if you use if you do a form. But it's gonna be too easy for you if you use Redux Form.
Okay.
But yeah.
Are we gonna, you have to do 2 projects now. Sorry guys, I need sleep.
I don't know, I can't really, I think that would help me because it's work related and I could actually work on it while I'm at work.
Okay.
Like, oh, look, they're working, he's
It's
working.
actually a good idea if you
Yeah.
have something to work at home. I mean, for work.
Yeah.
Otherwise,
That's a
I'm
nice motivator.
That's what I'm gonna do.
Yeah,
No, I'm gonna call it
Is that
professional
sarcasm?
development and do it at
No,
work.
I already told what I was gonna do to him.
Oh, okay.
Like,
Oh, you-
just
Is that
simple like
secret?
share buttons. No, it's like you know how we have like in most of our we do a lot of like posts, which is articles. In each article, we have these shares and likes and stuff, which can be configured using a configuration file. Where like I want Facebook share, Instagram follow, whatever. So I want to like put all those buttons in React.